Give everyone at your next event a super awesome mix with our mixtape cards. Each one comes with a personalized message and photo along with a QR code that takes them to your mix on whatever streaming service they use. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. They're perfect for birthdays, weddings, graduations, and even holiday cards. Go to superawesomemix.com/mixtapes and bring back the magic of the mixtape at your next special occasion. Welcome back to another super awesome mix. My name is Matt Sidholm, and today we're doing something special as I will be hosting solo and joined by our guest. He is an actor you may have seen on Law & Order SVU and Criminal Minds Evolution, as well as the upcoming Hulu true crime offering Murdaugh Murders. But he's here because he's also a singer-songwriter, also known as an indie sorcerer, who has an EP coming out next month titled Till the Moon Fades Away. Please welcome Winter Andrews to the show. Welcome, Winter.
Hello, Matt. I think I would like to be introduced as an indie sorcerer for every event from now on. Like, even if I'm doing like a Q&A or a red carpet or something, I want that to be like my name tag and my title.
I love that. I saw that in something and I was like, indie sorcerer. I'm going to call him that.
I don't know where you saw that, and I don't need to know. It exists now solely in this moment for me, and I am thrilled.
It's great. It's great. All right. So I got to ask you because, you've done the acting in some major roles, and now you're doing singing. So obviously you've been part of the arts probably your whole life, right? But like, what came first? What were you drawn to first?
You know, when I look back at it, because I've asked myself this question too, like, what am I? What do I identify more as? What started it? And they really both began at the same time for me. Okay. I think they both kind of came from the same place, which was, one, I was just like a very emotional, sensitive kid, but I was also a huge mimic growing up. So I loved music. I loved these great singers. Like, I would just be, again, imitating them all day long. But the same thing was true of like great acting performances, you know? So it's like I was equally moved by like Celine Dion and Green Day as I was by like Robin Williams. You know what I mean?
Do you still do impressions or anything? Do you find yourself doing that at all?
You know, I kind of surprise myself sometimes because it's not a thing that I like actively practice anymore, because I feel like an impressionist is very much its own thing, which I don't identify as that. And then sometimes like I'll hear someone do like something a certain way, or I'll see a certain physicality or a performance, and then I'm just like, oh, what is that? And I like tap into it again, and I'm like, oh, I am pretty good at this. Like, you know, it's like, it's just, I don't know, I was reading somewhere about it being like kind of a thing with like, it being a reflection of like your mirror neurons firing, you know what I mean? And like, I've always been a very visual learner. And like, if I see someone do something, I can kind of do it. So I think it's just that, you know? So it's not a skill I practice, but it's kind of sitting back there, you know, and it helps me.
Well, it's interesting because I've heard, Dana Carvey, who does a lot of impressions, right? Like he's talked about, and he's also a drummer. And so he's talked about how when he thinks about impressions, he thinks about a rhythm to it. So I was just kind of curious when you said that, because obviously you're a musician and you're an actor. So I just wondered if there was kind of that you're picking up on rhythms with the way people talk, and that's what you're kind of doing.
100%. You know, the way it's rhythm, it's tonality, it's like vocal placement. But then even beyond that, it's like there's a psychological aspect to it too. Like you can kind of, I guess it's also a reflection of just like empathy or something, where someone's point of view will inform your impression of them as much as you know their the anatomy of what they're doing. You know,
right, yeah.
Cool. And I think that one certainly plays even more into the acting. You know.
So in regards to music, what was the first instrument, or do you play multiple instruments, or is it just one, or what was your first intro into music?
I do singing 100% for sure. I think it's funny. I love guitar. I identify as at least a songwriting guitarist. I think I'm compelling. I think I'm good, but it's like I could never sit in on a session. You know what I mean? Like, sure. And I'm so in awe of those who do. And so I feel, it's funny, I feel bad about that sometimes. I'm like, oh God, I wish I were better. I wish I did more piano. I dabble on piano too, and I've
Okay.
recently been dabbling on drums. But then I think back, I'm like, you know what? I'm a pretty okay singer. I'm doing all right. But so singing, I think, is really where it started.
I'd say you're a pretty good singer. Yeah. Now,
Thank you.
Were you always able to sing, or was that something that you kind of? I mean, obviously, you're going to get better once you sort of dedicate yourself to a craft. But were you naturally sort of a good singer?
I think I was. To be honest, I don't come from a musical family in terms of my parents or my sister. They're all, that's my one sibling. They're all, I'd say, very unmusical. They're not like like my mom has, she'll sing around the house constantly, but it's like she has no training whatsoever.
Right.
My dad has actually both of them kind of have what you'd consider large voices, you know? And so I think from that, just like genetically, I kind of was given like a bigger voice than other people might have, so that kind of helps me stand out, I think, or it did growing up. And then that combined with like the mimicry and like the singers I was listening to just happened to be great singers. So it's like, when I was like 7 in the boys chorus, I remember Dr. Ackerley being like, and here he is, a rare case of a natural vibrato. I'm like, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were just trying to sound like what you had heard, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So I think it's something that is, I've always been noticed for my voice. Yeah. And then I've spent a lot of time working it. I kind of on the topic of like having a bigger voice. It's kind of like a hefty monster to wrestle with, and so I've had to really like beat it into like flexibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you've got some flexibility for sure, and we'll get to your tracks later because I was pretty blown away. But let's get into it. We've got 8 tracks here that you brought as kind of inspiration, and then we've got 4 tracks from your upcoming EP that we're going to go through. So I'll just introduce them, and then you can kind of tell us a little bit about each one. We could talk about it and just go from there. So track 1, you picked "Samson" by Regina Spektor. So talk about this one. I thought it was a great opening track.
Oh, phenomenal. Great. I was like, this is going to go really well or really poorly right off the bat. I love this. I'm going to say that about all these songs. I love this song so much. I heard this for the first time when I was in college, and I just had it on repeat for days, and I still will go days where I just have it on loop. I think it's just so beautifully written. I think my favorite poetic device in writing is allegory, and I feel like this is just like the most pristine, gorgeous example of it. It's so intimate and raw, and yet so epic at the same time. It's like it's so haunting. I feel like with allegory, especially in music for me, for whatever reason, it so elevates what would otherwise like feel like so mundane or banal or something, about like just general life, and it feels like it matches the scale of our emotions in a way. Like I feel like our emotions are much grander than maybe the reality we're facing a lot of times, but I feel like that's when you have this ability to like lyrically connect those to something greater, it moves me in a way, and like I said, I think the song is like the most just gorgeous example of that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I mean, and just obviously it refers to the story of Samson, right? It doesn't call out Delilah, but I mean, that's the companion there.
Absolutely.
And I just loved, and I think this is true of your music and a lot of the songs that you brought today, just the vocals kind of give you the emotion, right? Instead of sometimes you listen to a song and it's the instruments behind it. But I think in the case of this, I think when I was listening to your music and some of these other songs, it was just the voice that stood with me. And obviously Regina Spektor is amazing, but I agree with you on just sort of the emotional range of this one.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're right on the voice too, that I'm looking at a lot of these. I do think, again, being a singer first, that's kind of where I go to, like when I work with some producers or things or musicians that I really love, they're talking about the bass line. I'm like, oh, I didn't even hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting better at that, but yeah, there's just, I'm always amazed when I don't need a song to be super sparse in this all the time, but I'm always amazed when it can be, and yet you are still so completely captivated and moved. Just the singer's delivery and their performance, and their like nuance is just so, their connection, it's so captivating. And this is just that to like the superlative degree,
I agree. Now, speaking of emotion, this next one got me. This is Shrike by Hozier.
Once again, I guess this one's not allegorical. There's nothing like biblical or about, gods or things or mythic figures, which his songs often have. There are so many songs of his that I could have or would have picked, but
sure.
I feel like this one doesn't get enough love, and it's one that I listen to all the time, But for those who don't know this song, it's kind of based around the metaphor, or the metaphor within it is that he's had this love that has fallen apart, and it's effectively annihilated him. It's destroyed him. Her cruelty or whatever, I believe it's hers. I know, yeah. It could be a man. I don't want to be a misogynist here.
Based on personal experience, you're going to say her.
Exactly. Yeah, yes. So her, cruelty or volatility has just like so eroded him to where he's still in love with her, but he's like died and had to leave it behind. And it's like he's just wishing to come back as something that can make use of her cruelty, something that can live in harmony with it. So a shrike in nature is this bird that will kill its prey and then mount them on thorns to attract a lover. And so the big lyric in the song, like basically is that I hope I'm reborn as the shrike to your sharp and glorious thorn. Oh my God.
Yeah, and what a way, I mean, Jesus, shrikes really, they're like the Attila the Huns of birds, huh? I mean, what is that?
No, I know. I had no idea. Then you look it up, it's like the sweetest looking bird.
Yeah, they're not big birds, I don't think.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I think the main photo of it, like at least, I think on Genius at least, there's a photo of a shrike, and it's like very cute bird, and like an equally cute and sized bird just impaled on a thorn next to it,
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
that's amazing.
What a backdrop for an incredible song,
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's like, this is how we're going to keep our species going, right? We're going to randomly kill something and then attract a mate as a result of that. Yeah. But this song was it really interesting. And I kind of, when I listened to it, I sort of thought that obviously the relationship had gone wrong, but I almost thought she was the one dying now. And he kind of was going through these sort of regrets of like, he's never going to have that moment where like things are good, or there's no opportunity for redemption. But you're right. When you brought in the reincarnation, because there are those reincarnation call outs that he has in there. So I'm like, when I heard you say it, I'm like, yeah, maybe it is more like that. But in any case, it's, I mean, obviously his voice is beautiful and it's a great song, like all his stuff is, but it's just, it was a really cool song. I think it can go in a lot of different directions, but there's definitely an element of regret of how this relationship went.
Oh, 100%. I also love like musically in it, just like the guitar is so, it's beautiful. It's like haunting. But it's kind of wistful. There's a pleasantness in it. It's not just pain, you know what I mean? It's like, it I don't know. So I just like that juxtaposition. This could have been a much angrier sounding song, but instead it sounds like he's almost at peace with the death of this relationship, or whatever interpretation,
Right. Yeah. However it goes, I think there is an element of that. Yeah. It's a really interesting song too. I think it's one that you can listen to 3, 4, 5 times and kind of get something new every time,
I completely agree. And I love music like that.
Yeah. Okay. Now this next one, after I listened to the whole mix, including your songs, and then I went back through it again, this one was a curveball for me. Okay. So track 3, you've got Numb by Linkin Park.
No, I know. And there's a very specific reason for that. And that's that I feel like these really are kind of songs of like angst and yearning and things that inspired me very much so. And I feel like I cannot possibly make a list of songs like that without including Linkin Park that was so inspirational to me as a kid and like gave me so much again, I talked about like I think with Samson, how like allegory like kind of gives, I don't know, it validates the size of your emotions, you know what I mean? Or like the scale of them. And I feel like as a kid, I had a lot of anger and a lot of sensitivity. And then I listened to Linkin Park and it's like, it all makes sense, you know? Yeah. So, and to be fair, I could have picked many Linkin Park songs here. This was kind of like we'll go with Numb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like type thing at the end. But I also, funny enough, I don't think anyone would pick it out in my music. But there's a lot of Linkin Park production wise that actually I sneak into my stuff, and maybe not as much in the things I've released thus far, but in things that are coming out more. You're not going to hear it and go, "That's a Linkin Park song," but it's just like it's something that lives in me in a way that I can't get away from. You know,
that's really cool. I love that. I mean, and that's I love that there's just sort of elements in there with sort of what you do. And I mean, I like the song. I didn't think it was a bad choice, but as I'm going through it, I'm like, now where does this fit in? I'm going to have to dig in a little bit on this one. But that's like, I know for me growing up, my older sister was way into heavy metal.
Sure.
So I listened to a lot of heavy metal and like hairband kind of stuff as that evolved. Like, I mean, I think I'm probably significantly older than you. So this we're talking about like early mid 80s type stuff, right?
Sure.
Now I don't listen to any heavy metal, but still every now and then a song will come on and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And I think it is sort of that sort of element, like what you're talking about, just sort of sprinkles through of my life a little bit because of that.
Totally.
Influence. Yeah.
Well, 100%. It's one of those things that's like you feel like you've gotten away from, and then, like you said, you hear it again. You go, "Oh, wait, this is a part of me somewhere." You know?
Yeah.
And I do think too, going back to just like vocalists and you know, kind of this haunting quality that someone has that draws you. And I do feel like Chester also is that. Like, I don't really enjoy most metal or things in this genre, yet his voice just, despite, you know, his like virtuosity, his range, his power, his screaming, like that no one can match, he still has this, like, there's just this intimate yearning in the quiet parts that I feel like I do feel like you hear more obvious in my music. Not that someone, again, you're never going to hear me and go, "That's Chester," you know?
Right. But no, I hear what you're saying.
Me.
I think that's what made them stand out amongst other bands of that era. Right? Was totally. Like his vocals in the same way that like a Stephen Jenkins of Third Eye Blind, right? Like that's the differentiator for a band like that. Or like 100%. When you listen to Blink 182, they can actually bring a lot of emotion to their music or things like that. It's that vocalist sometimes that's the differentiator between like a band just being a touring band for decades and being like a mega huge band, you know?
100%. Yeah. It's the thing that's going to move like the heart the most, you know?
Yeah. All right, track 4. This is Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap.
Yes, a return to the form of the playlist.
Yeah. Okay, now this one tracks a little more. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, this one I first heard in high school when I was in choir. Like the seniors, like every year the seniors would do like a senior number and like people could pick stuff and they do things. And someone did this song and I don't know if it was good. Those harmonies are hard. You know what I mean? I don't remember. But I do remember just being so shook, moved, stirred by this thing. I'd never heard anything like it, you know? And like I don't come from a musical family, so it was just kind of like whatever was on pop was on the radio, you know, growing up. And occasionally some classic rock. But this song just like woke me up. You know, and I just listened to it endlessly, and I was so confused by it for so long. I feel like that is a thread for me in music that I love or music that inspires me. Is like I feel like it's so beautiful in your mood, but you don't know why. You know, you can't I can't wrap my head around what's happening or what's going on or what this means, but you're just grappling with this thing for a long time. And so this song just, I feel like I've grappled with for so long, and just I can't get away from it, and I feel like I'm always referencing it in anything I do. I know it's basically just a vocoder, so there's not much to reference, but still.
But I'm with you. It's like this is very much a song, the first time you hear it, it's a what am I listening to sort of reaction. but you want to keep listening to it. And I can't even imagine someone trying to recreate it. So I don't know how that went in the chorus there.
No, totally. No, and I was not like it at arts high school. These are pretty normal kids, you know what I mean? So God be with them, or whatever they believe in. But I mean, just talking about like grappling with it, you know, I had a totally different interpretation of this song. I think when I was younger, I didn't know what it was about. And as I got older, I'm like, oh, I feel like this is like kind of just grappling with the alienation, like at the end of a relationship. And then literally last night, I was finally like looking it up again. And I was like, oh, this is quite literally about her parents' divorce. And all these lyrics that were right? I know, they were like, some of these lines were so nebulous, but moving before are still just as moving and still have this incredible mysterious quality to them, but it's like, oh, now I actually am following the through line of the story even more, and I was just like weeping last night, you know?
Yeah. Because in my head I was like, it almost felt like somebody had died, and because the song has such an ethereal quality to it with the production and the voices, like it's almost like ghostly. Like that's what kept coming into my mind as I'm listening to it. Yes,
I think that's a perfect word for it. I mean, because I think I love the word ethereal, and I use that a lot of the stuff I love is ethereal. But I think you're right, ghostly in this one particular. There's just this. It's haunted. It's haunting. You know?
But divorce, also, if you're a kid, probably does feel like that. You know, my parents didn't get divorced. God. I mean,
same. I'm very we're very lucky in that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, just like I think the song is just truly a masterpiece. Like I don't mean that like in a way it's like showing off, but it's just like I was listening to a podcast with Tony Berg yesterday, or like a clip came up with him. He's one of Phoebe Bridgers' like main producers. He's also producing for like Somber and a bunch of. I mean, he's huge. But he was talking about like what actually is a masterpiece of a song, and he was saying that it's something that like that stays on through time, basically, right? It's timeless, but also it's something that like feels like it teaches people, like people not necessarily about life, but like that people get inspired by, you know? And I feel like this song is just like, we're all quoting this song. It is just, it's such a masterpiece, you know? And even like lyrically, like I just wrote down this one line. I mean, this is out of context, but the takeover, the sweeping insensitivity of this still life. Let's just pull that out of like the actual framework of like a divorce and just like apply that to like modern life.
Yeah.
The sweeping insensitivity of this still life. I'm like, my God, like just this one small line is like still so prophetic and like would be the best line in anyone else's best song. And yet it's just one small part of this incredible piece, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I mean, I love that description of a masterpiece being timeless, because you do, if you listen to the song, you know, like if I played for you some Duran Duran, you'd be like, this was 1985, right?
Right, totally.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where's this? It's like, you're not thinking about a certain year or time or place. It's again, just thinking about where did this come from, you know? Totally. And I think at any point anyone hears it, they might think it's from the future, like whatever year they're in. So
yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah. All right, track 5, you've got After Rain by Dermot Kennedy.
As I've said with all these, I love this song. This was again a song that I feel like woke me up in a way. This one was more recent. I think it's one of the most recent ones on here. Yeah. So again, kind of talking about this, like I said with Numb, it's like you have these parts of yourself that feel disconnected or something. And so I was going through a phase of my life when I was first really getting into folk music, I think, where I'd kind of let go, or I had lost touch of like, I guess my angst, for lack of a better word, you know, or my kind of raw passion or anger or things. And I was just listening to like a lot of like, basically like folk pop. And I liked it. I loved it. But anytime I tried to kind of write something, this was also when I was first starting to write music, it just felt flat to me. It felt untrue in some way. You know, I felt like I was putting something on, you know, and then I heard this song and I heard Dermot Kennedy, and it was just like, the light went off. It's like, oh, you can have folk and you can have this like really intimate, sparse thing, but you can also have it like, you know, imbued with this fucking passion, this rage, you know, and this there can be beauty in that. And so this to me, like I said, just really like, I felt like it like opened my mind and like this huge corner that I was able to like suddenly explore. And I think is a really inspired a lot of my music. This is the song that did that.
That's really cool. So when you sit down and you're like, okay, I think I'm going to start writing music, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you kind of sit there and go, well, I guess I'll write something like, and you've got a song in your head that you're almost trying to replicate? Or did it just start, had you written poetry before that? Like what, I don't know, what led to, I've never sat down and written a song. So that's why I asked the question. Yeah.
I think I have always loved writing. I think I've always been a writer. That's something that I like. I mean, growing up, teachers are always like, you have a gift. Like, you should really do something with like your writing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think more than anything else, like, well, I guess like acting too, but like, it was always like writing, acting, and music were the places where I felt like I just had a knack for something, you know, and that people seem to recognize. But so I've always been a writer. I've always loved writing, and I do poetry, but like songwriting often felt like a bridge too far to me, until eventually when I was like in college, I started like really picking up guitar. And it was a very quiet, private thing. Like I wasn't like, I'm going to go start a band and like perform for people, but it was just like, I think I saw videos of like Jeff Buckley and Matt Corby, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. You know, it just moved, it woke something up in me. But so all that to say, all these things kind of combined to where I was like then playing guitar quietly to myself. And then it just evolved right out of that. So it's like anytime I'm sitting down with my guitar, I'm usually not learning someone else's song or trying to sing someone else's song. I'm just kind of messing around, and then something compelling pops out, and then I feel like lyrics or melody just like insists upon coming out, and then I just kind of start humming or mumbling. And I'm smart enough now, like I've learned, just like throw on my voice recorder because you may not be able to repeat something.
Right? You know? Yeah.
But then I often just end up going for like 10 minutes, and many times 2/3 of the song comes out in that. You know, if I can try to get heady with stuff, but I find 90% of the time, the times when things really feel like they're working is when like I just kept playing and singing and something came out that just worked, you know?
Yeah. You just kind of let it evolve a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and I think that going back to After Rain, I think when I was just trying to like, when I was first starting this, like during when I was into folk pop, it was like, I think I was a bit more in my head about it. Whereas I heard him, I'm like, oh, I can just be like unbridled. I can just let it go. And then suddenly like, I'm like yelling more when I'm like making stuff up. And like I said, and then suddenly things like opened up and were working, you know?
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah, I agree. I mean, a very emotional song. And I think it is a pretty good direct line, as we'll get to your songs here in a bit. And I think that does kind of make sense. So,
yeah.
All right. Track 6, you've got Zombie by Youngblood.
It's so good. It's just so good, dude. Once again, this one's like a bit of a curveball compared to the other stuff on here.
Yeah.
I think it connects more than Numb. But I was like, okay, I can't just have Numb. I feel like I need something else that has a bit more of this like modern angst, you know, but still has this one's not haunting as much. But again, his voice just pulls you in. There's a pain, but it doesn't feel like metal or something where it's like so raw in your face. Right. You know, it's there's a vulnerability in it, I guess what I'm saying, and a grandeur, you know, like in the strings and the way he's singing. So I think this is kind of why I picked this one. Is I'm drawn to both vulnerability and grandeur, and I think this song just does that so well. I mean, it's just so good. Like if you haven't listened to it, it's new. Oh my God, like you will not stop listening to it. I have a feeling, you know?
It's really good. And what I was so impressed by is that if you strip out the vocals, and we've talked a lot today about vocals, right? If you strip out the vocals, it's got kind of like, you could put some happy lyrics to this and it's a completely different song.
Totally.
And it's his vocals that kind of take it in the direction that it goes when you listen to it. But I was so impressed by that, you know, and you said at the top, like your main instrument is your voice. And I think this is a good example of another artist who does that, because again, it's not the music. The music becomes, I don't want to say a distraction, but it's like if you only focus on that, it's like this might just sound like a pop song.
No, exactly. 100%. I love that duality. I love when people, just exactly like you said, it's like you have something that sounds happy and then you're singing the saddest lyrics of your life over it.
Right.
So, some of my songs, I don't think I have ones that are out that quite do that yet, but like some of my things do that. I just love that device. It's like I feel like that's life too. It's gray, it's twisted, it's like,
Yeah.
I like Phoebe Bridgers, I feel like does that all the time,
Oh, I think this next song is a perfect example of it. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
It's a good transition because
Awesome.
this next pick is You Missed My Heart by Phoebe Bridgers. And you talk about a sweet sounding song that is anything but. I mean, this is it.
God, I know, it's devastating. So this, for the people who don't know this is like, I think it's the last track on her debut album, Strangers in the Alps, and it's actually a cover of an artist named I think Mark Kozlek. I'm probably butchering his last name, but for those who haven't listened to it, it's this like 6-minute long ballad. That's if you're listening to Winter Andrews, 6-minute long ballads are not not unfamiliar. Short by my standards, but it's based on this dream that Mark had, and he basically transcribed it, and it's this incredible story with this like stunning through line that's this lyric, "You missed my heart," which has different meanings in each verse and chorus, but it's still so tethered and connected in this it's just so moving. Like I said, it's kind of like The Voice. It's something that just pulls you in. I feel like I'm stuck there, just like, oh my God, what happens next? Like both vocally and the story itself.
Yeah, this is like an episode of Dateline, right? Like if you listen to this, I mean, it really is. That's this song.
That's so good.
But then when you listen to it, it's just, her voice is so beautiful, and it's just, if you're not paying attention, you will just be like, what a beautiful song, or whatever. And then you really dig into it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is dark. Yeah,
it's so dark. No, but it's like you said, it's just it's so beautiful. I love dark and beautiful. If that's not abundantly clear. What's funny? I guess this one's not exactly about this song. It is to a degree, but like I have to share this moment. I was in the car with my mom recently. We were going up to like the mountain. I was like visiting home. We were like going up to the mountains, and so like we're just driving up together, and she doesn't listen to Phoebe Bridgers. She's just like whatever's, like I said, whatever's on pop radio. Right. It's like nighttime, like in the forest. And I was like, can I play this album? She's like, sure, and she's never a person who like listens to lyrics or things. I mean, she does sometimes, but she's, usually on her phone doing a bunch of things at once. And just throughout the album, she was just transfixed listening. And I just kept her like hearing her just go, wow. Like at certain lyrics, in certain moments. It's like, that was so magic for me to like have experienced my mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like this song came on and she was just like, this one does connect up, but she was just sitting, like same thing, like what happens next? Like just so transfixed by the story and the delivery. Yeah. It's just so, again, stirring, haunting. These are my favorite words, but it's so applicable here.
I love that. I love that scene, especially because I love introducing people to music. Obviously, it's part of the reason we do this show, and getting people to really listen and kind of be like, no, you're gonna just stay with it or whatever.
Right, exactly. So, wait, we're right there. Wait, don't tune out yet. Oh my God, no, you missed the best line. Yeah.
I'm not asking you to watch 8 seasons of Blue Bloods. Okay, I just want you to listen to a 6-minute song. Hang in there.
Right, but then I will keep playing the next 6 seasons.
Yeah, you're right. It's a full example. It's a full example. But still, yeah. All right, so your last pick, that is not your song, and I'm so glad this guy made it on here. It is Morning Theft by Jeff Buckley.
Jeff Buckley, my prince, my heart. I just, like I said, Jeff is like the guy who made me go, I have to be playing guitar. Like it just so moved me that you could make sound like that. I mean, that's so dumb sounding, but it's just, again, talk about haunting. He's like, he's this figure that I like can't get away from, and again, talking about mysterious too, and like wrapping your head around things. I cannot tell you how many times I've listened to all of his stuff, Grace, and this and his live at Sheena, all these things, and I still feel like every time I am completely like rediscovering the song, the music, his voice, the delivery, everything, and I feel like I kind of said with like Shrike with Hozier, it's like I feel like all his other songs have plenty of people are very familiar with his other work, but I feel like this song doesn't get enough praise. Like I feel like if this were on Grace, it would have been considered one of his best songs.
I hadn't heard this song actually before
really?
You put it on this mix. So I was listened to it a few times already, but yeah, I mean, the lyric that just stands out at the end, it's, I miss my beautiful friend. I had to send it away to bring us back again. I think that's such a great line about being apart, whether you're apart physically or emotionally, and then coming back together. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's so great. And it's true. Like being apart actually kind of will either like make it easy to break up in a relationship or actually make the relationship stronger.
100% agree. Yeah, that's funny that you called out that line. It's like that's actually the one line that I'm like I want that Jeff Buckley tattoo. That's the one I'm gonna have. I already have like that's so like you. So I guess let's get the tattoo together.
There we go. Let's do it.
Yeah, but just like again, lyrically though, I love this song so much, and I also like kind of talking about like we did with Zombie, especially once it gets going in the back half. It's just the music is so. Uplifting is the wrong word. That sounds like I'm talking about a church. There's just something happy, dry. Like it feels like you're going towards something better.
Yeah, it's hopeful.
Yeah, it's hopeful. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Could have just gone there. Yeah.
We exactly really should work together more. I feel like. So. Yeah, 30 minutes in, I think this is going to work really well. Yeah.
I think so too. But yeah, it's one of the few times I feel like I hear Jeff being hopeful, but it's this just again, it's this haunting lyric. I'm sorry I've said that word so many times. I said at the beginning of this podcast before he hopped on, I'm like, I'm going to swear a lot. I don't think I've sworn much, but I've said the word haunting like 17 times. So let's just censor a couple of those. I think it's accurate.
I'll beep it out. I'll make it
perfect.
Like,
yeah.
People will be like, I don't even think that makes sense. Does that? Did he say the F word there? I don't. Right. Why didn't they bleep the other one? Makes totally. No sense. All right. Well, let's get into your music. So I'm really excited about this. Obviously, this is what kind of brought us together. Was we were sent some of your music, and I dug into it, and I was like, this is good stuff. Thank you. So the first track you're bringing here, and these are all on your upcoming EP, which comes out, I think, November 21st, correct?
That's correct. You got it.
All right. I got it right. We got the notes right. Mm-hmm. So the first track we're going to talk about is Wildfires.
Does it feel? But I learn it all, baby, come on, man, can't feel it all, so I cannot break. Or has your heart been turned into steel? Hold my breath, hold my skin. We're burning down, we're burning up, we're burning in love. Till the sun goes out, and the stars all fade. I'm falling again.
Yes. So this is the first song on the track. On the EP. This is one that I felt like was a very nice way to kind of set the tone of the EP. It starts out, the first half is, I think, more intimate, more sparse, and I think hopefully draws you into the story a bit, and then it builds and builds, and suddenly you're kind of hit with this. Just more bombastic, climactic. There's this break where it's like there's like a snap, Mm-hmm. And I feel like that like sets the tone for what I wanted for this to be. It's like you are going to be drawn into story. There's going to be some surprises. There's going to be like big builds. There's going to be, again, this like climactic, huge grandeur or anger, and then it's going to come back away and pull back into like this mist,
Yeah, I think this was probably the closest to, and maybe why it's the first one. So like kind of more of a love song of the ones instead of the range of emotions I think we get from some of these other songs. So, and I love the call and repeat part kind of in the middle. I thought that was really well done and kind of starts to kind of pick things up a little bit. It's really interesting, and I'm glad it's kind of the first track, because I think it works well, especially as you go through these other tracks, because it really is. Did you set out to create sort of because nowadays I feel like artists are just putting out one song. And I kind of love when artists are like, I'm putting together an album, or a beginning and a middle and an end, which this felt like, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So did you kind of seek to do that a little bit?
That is 100% what I sought to do. And I'm actually so glad that's like the first thing you're saying about it. I'm like, okay, good. Someone gets it. That's relieving for me to hear. Yeah, 100%. Again, this is the actor in me. This is the writer in me. Like, I'm very drawn to story. I'm very drawn to an arc. And like you said, to speak like that is an arc, a beginning, middle, and end. And this EP to me is really, I'm giving you a spoiler. I haven't said this anywhere before, but it's really like, I consider it like half of my first album. Like, it's so this is kind of, it's setting the tone. It's establishing some like motifs, like lyrically. There's that is something I'm kind of pulling from like the world of like maybe like a stage play or something, or
like Act One.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's kind of certain recurring characters in a way, or metaphors. There's like certain lyrical elements that you will see throughout, and that I think become clearer when the rest of the songs are out. I think it builds enough of the world right now that you're kind of seeing the shape of it from this EP. But I feel like when the other half is out, you'll go, oh, this is the world he's built, So, but all that to say, yes, it was very intentional that like I'm very much trying to build an experience in the world, and not just an experience. I feel like that like an experience sounds very corporate to me, like like, well, I say this because like I
we're gonna launch a soda along with this EP.
Yeah, exactly. I say this as a person who spent plenty of time like catering and in restaurants, like doing fine dining, and you just always hear them, we are building an experience for our guests. And it's like, dude, you're making fucking food. Like, like they're going to sit down and have dinner. Like, I don't know all the buzzwords. So this, I don't mean that in the buzzword sense.
They can't price it as high if they don't call it an experience, right?
Right, exactly. So I wasn't trying to do that to get listeners. I was doing that because it was just sincerely what I wanted to do is to build this world,
No, I think it's cool. And I don't think enough artists do that nowadays. And I very much, longtime listeners of this show will know I'm a massive Bruce Springsteen fan, and that's what Springsteen did with a lot of his albums. I also call out Tunnel of Love, which was the follow-up to Born in the USA, which is very much like the beginning, middle, and end of a relationship, right? And it kind of takes you through and that's, like a 12-song album that he did. And it was a completely different direction from Born in the USA, which is not that, right?
Right.
But it was very intentional in that sense. And so I don't know. I love it when artists do that. And I love listening to whole albums like that. And so I just thought it was cool. And I was like, well, I hope that was the intent. Either way, I'm going to listen to it this way, Well,
great. No, like I said, message received. I'm perfect. Thank God.
All right. So continuing on. Okay. Track 10 here, your second song from your EP. It is The Lovers.
But if I could pull the dirt from the ground and spin dust to gold, I'd weave you a shining gown. And if I could bind the beat of my heart sound, I would give you my love. You could wear it like a crown.
Yes. So you were speaking of like Wildfires being a romantic love song. This one is certainly the most romantic one on the EP. A lot of my other ones are quite angsty, for lack of a better word. But this one, if we actually get into the lyrics, it gets there. But this came about when I was kind of in the middle of, I just say like a very unfulfilling relationship, and talking about songwriting before, like coming from like this quiet place for me where it's very private and it's like stuff just kind of comes out. This kind of emerged like is a very private moment in that time. And I think it was, in retrospect, it's like, oh, this is me like really like wanting something like beautiful and true and deep and like that feels faded. You know what I mean? Because what I'm in right now is certainly not that, you know?
Yeah.
So this song itself is kind of a story in 3 acts too. It kind of represents like a relationship over the course of a lifetime, basically. I wanted to have kind of like a timeless feel. Like you don't know if this is happening in the fucking 1500s or, you know, now or the future or when. And so the first verse and chorus is kind of like, call it unrequited love and like kind of like childlike yearning, you know, adolescent yearning, you know. Mm-hmm. And then the next verse and chorus kind of represent like, I guess like the consummation of that love, you know, it's coming together basically. And then the bridge to me is really, which is like where the strings come in, and that's Rob Moose playing, who's the violinist for like Phoebe Bridgers and everyone. He's my favorite musician on the planet. And I'm so glad he was gamed for to work on my stuff. But so where the strings kind of take over there, that to me like really represents like the passage of time, aging, basically. And then the last one is because I can't just write a happy song. It's got to be sad. It kind of represents like the death of the lover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all packaged in this kind of wistful thing. So I don't necessarily need someone to listen to it and go, oh, I get this story. You know what I mean? It's not like a book report or something. But, but that was the inspiration with it.
Well, you know, and it's interesting to hear you describe it as unfulfilling, because the word that I kind of hooked onto in this was if. Because you wrote these kind of beautiful lines and then it was like, if. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I wonder if this isn't actually going on. Yeah. And so so if you take away that word or you overlook it, it is, like you said, it's a kind of a straight ahead, like very like love song and kind of tells the story. And obviously, you know, it gets a little more emotional there at the end, but it was that word that kind of I stuck to, and I was like, I don't know if this is as happy a relationship as we think. And so hearing you say it was born of this unfulfilling relationship, I was like, that's it. I knew it.
That's so fun. I love, you know, I've never heard someone pick up on that. I think you're so right. It really is. It's like, oh God, yeah, the if is really what makes this whole thing a fantasy. You know,
it's aspirational. Like
exactly.
you're in this relation. You're obviously in this relationship, the character in this song. But I'm like, right. It's not great. There's something off here. And so to hear you say it was born of this unfulfilling relation, I don't know. I think good job.
Totally.
I mean, really good job.
Thank you.
It's good writing.
Thank you. I will say too, because that kind of makes me think. I feel like there's kind of this element of like fantasy and myth in a lot of my music. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm tapping into that. And this one has some of those like lyrical elements, but there will be even more, you know, motifs, lyrical motifs that I do think tie very much into this like feeling of powerlessness and wrestling with fate in a way. So, but which I feel like this song starts to get at a little bit, in that the story of the song is a person who especially in that first verse, you hear it, like implying this person doesn't have the facility to actually make this relationship with this person work. Yeah. You know, it's like, if I could do these things for you, if I possibly could, but I am so powerless against fate and time and the odds and the gods, everything. And so all that to say, I think that is an element that is present. You'll see more of that in my music. Very cool. Very cool. All right, track 11, and this is the track that I think was initially sent to us that I was like, I've got to talk to this person. This is Babel. This is Babel. Yeah. Talk to me about this one. And I'm so sorry for all that I've done. Words so holy once again, this came from a very quiet, private place. This one is very much about, I'd say, shame. You know, it's about like shame, infidelity, pride, self-loathing. But it came from a place in my life when I was just very lost, not proud of myself, and I had these huge, huge feelings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to like make fun of that, but I guess I am making fun of it. But all that to say, I was writing guitar, and the kind of that intro part just came out on its own, and it was like, okay, I have to do something with this. And then I think writing is kind of like becomes my diary in a way, and then some of the poetic language becomes a way to hide what I'm really feeling or what I'm really trying to say. But I think this was just very much a reflection of that time, and so it's kind of like, you haven't listened to it, it's like I said, it's about infidelity and pride and regret and shame, but it's kind of taken to this like Macbethian level of grandeur and darkness. You know, it just keeps building and building and building, and it's really about like the destruction of self, you know.
Yeah. So when you are, this is my question, and maybe this is the actor in you that makes this happen, but when you're recording a song like this, like in the studio, because I imagine performing it live, you can feed off the crowd a little bit or something like that. But when you're in the studio and trying to record something like this, and to me, listening to it, it feels so emotional. And, you know, your voice is going to these different places. When you're just in the studio recording this, how do you do that multiple times, or was this one take and this is how you did it?
No, God, this was so, I'll be honest, this one and The Lovers were so hard to record. Yeah. Funny enough, they like you're saying, it's like it sounds like it could be one take type thing. That's what I set out for, you know, but I kept trying to do that, and it just wasn't. It goes so many places, the tempos change, all these things. It's like, if I were just doing it alone, I could, you know, but once you want to add these other elements, you really need more structure in there, you know. But so all that to say, it was a fucking beast to record. It really was. Yeah. It was probably like a year and a half working on this song, and I'm going to mention Lovers with it too, like where I feel like I spent 70% of my time at the EP like working on these two things, just chiseling away, adjusting the timing, the tempo, all these things, and then redoing vocal takes, that new tempo, like trying so many different harmonies and versions of it, like, and also like even the vocal delivery, like you said, it's so emotional, but it took me a long time to find that. I think this was the song I was actually most scared of when I first started recording this EP. It's one that I sent to the producers who were co-producing this with me as like it was an option, but it was one I thought they wouldn't pick. And then they were like, you have to do this one. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? It was kind of that moment. Yeah, like I think it's a great song, but I think also I'm sitting there listening to it like, how do you do something like this, right? Like that was it was so like, and so it is interesting do you find yourself, because obviously this is a really personal story for you, but in that journey where you're talking about, it took you a year plus to put this together. Right. Are you finding new emotions from that same event during that time? 100%, and it becomes about more than just that one event, you know. And that's something I kind of realized too, looking back, is like this wasn't just about that one event, you know. This was about so much more. And so it's like, okay, this song actually has come to mean much more to me in that time, and I feel like this is a song that will probably change with me through life, you know. But yeah, I mean, like you're talking about, like you say a year and a half. So that's how long it took me to produce it. But like I wrote this thing like 5 years ago or 6 years. Wow. This is one of the first songs I ever wrote. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how that happened. you know? But it did. And so, like I said, I was so scared of it, and it was something that like it took me so long to even figure out how to sing what I'd written. Yeah. You know, not only the production of it, like getting all that right, but it was like, okay, now how do I actually build this arc out? Because I think before when I first started writing, it was like I didn't have the chorus at first. It was like just the verse and the pre-chorus were kind of the song, but it's missing something. I kind of thought the pre-chorus was the chorus. The why am I so fickle in love part. And it's like, no, we have to arrive to something here. And eventually that took like 3 years for that part to come out. But when I first started doing it, I was just belting it the entire time. And I'm like, well, I don't want to listen to just me yelling this long. You know what I mean? That's not pulling you in. That's not the story. That's not,
does
it take you to emotional places, you know?
Totally agree. I think that's really cool to see the evolution, because again, it feels complex while you're listening to it, right? And so it's really interesting to hear that story behind it. Now, speaking of like, because you said you wrote this 5 years ago, it took you like, it all kind of came out, then it's like, how's this translate? Your last track, and this is the last track on the EP, After the Snow.
Hold me here a little more, last kindness that you have in store before you turn to leave again, and I ain't left alone. I don't wanna be alone. I don't wanna be alone. I don't wanna be alone. You scream at me, the heart of mine, our love it breaks and then it dies. Hold me in again, you know I won't be fine.
This one felt like bad night with your partner, and this is the result of that. Is that where this came from, or talk about this one?
Yes, I'd say many bad nights, you know. Respectfully, you know, I still love this person dearly, genuinely, and I care about them very much. But you know, it's funny. This is one that actually came about in a weird way. It was a movie I had done called The Mystery of Her. This is like 5 years ago or something. But the director and I like really hit it off, and we kind of started working on another project, like something about a singer-songwriter, basically. That it never fully took root, but I actually wrote this song for this character in it.
Oh wow!
Which you know, you never hear that and go, oh, this isn't him, this isn't his perspective. But in retrospect, I'm like, okay, I was using that as a way to just write about what I was really feeling and give myself permission to go to a place lyrically, emotionally, melodically, everything that I maybe wouldn't have otherwise. And as a result, this song that's kind of so fucking big, you know, came out of that. Whereas otherwise, I may have just, if I wasn't given that opportunity, I may have been writing quieter things, you know, but this one just builds and builds and builds and gets more grand and epic. And yeah.
That's really cool. No, I love the genesis of that, because again, I think people are this is like a perfect song for like kind of post-fight in a relationship, right? Like this is all the emotions of something like that. Totally. So it's really well done, but I think that's really cool how it kind of, you're right, kind of channeled through this character. I mean, that's so often, I think, what I tell people all the time when they're kind of learning, when they're scared of public speaking, right? I kind of tell them like, well, just go up there and pretend you're someone else.
Yeah.
Play a character, right? And I know like that, I'm not trying to say acting is easy or anything like that. Like you don't have to be a good actor. I'm just saying like, give yourself the courage by just pretending you're not even yourself, like you're this other person. And so I think when you said that, that's immediately what popped into my head is like, yes, it's just play that character, but yes, all the personal stuff will come out through that.
You nailed it completely. Yeah. And I think that's been, on that note, that's actually been a huge gateway with the CP just in music for me, is because acting is so, like my dad once said to me, he's like, I feel like you'll go act anywhere, anytime. Like someone hands you a script, you'll go bust it right there, but you will not go sing at any time. You're so like protective over that. And I was like, you're right. And I thought I've still grappled with for a long time. It's a much more private thing to me, basically, you know? But so acting is so comfortable for me, and becoming something else is very comfortable for me, that you're so right. It's been this gateway for me to sneak in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that's I think true of the EP and eventually the greater album as a whole. You know, I talk again about these like story motifs and lyrical motifs and things, and it's like, I do think in retrospect I was moved by those ideas and am moved by those ideas, but I also think it was like kind of a way for me to sneak in. It's like, okay, this isn't about me, this is about the moon, you know, and this is about
these
figures that control our fates or something, as opposed to me. I don't have to fully step into, you know, exposure in a way, right?
That is so cool. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The EP is called Till the Moon Fades Away. It comes out November 21st. So you're going to want to go and check that out. And also, you've got the Hulu. Is it a show or a movie? The Murdoch.
Yeah, it's a miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah, Murdoch, Death in the Family. It's out. I think right now the first 3 episodes are out. I've got this one. I've got a very small part in, but I think it's memorable. But yeah, go check it out. It's a really cool show. If you're into true crime, then I'm sure you probably already know about it.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. No, I definitely think it'll be on my wife's watch list for sure. So I'll be checking it out as well.
Perfect.
So where can people find more about you, whether it's your music or where you're acting or anything like that?
Yeah, Instagram is probably the best place. I am at It's Winter Andrews. I have like a few things on TikTok, and I will very shortly be having a lot more. I've been so busy this year. Like I did a movie and Murdoch and finishing my EP, and now it's like, okay, now I finally have time to like go and, you know, do the reels and the tick, you know, all the social media things that I've been hiding from, you know.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody go and follow him and check out the EP when that comes out. We'll be sure to get links to everything in the show notes and get the word out there as much as we can to support you. And maybe we'll have you back on once the full album comes back on.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Matt. This is great.
No, thank you. And so we'll get to work on our next mix. So for Winter, this is Matt, and we'll see you next time. Super Awesome Mix is brought to you by DLM. Make shopping easy with DLM, the one-stop shop for all your casual clothing needs. Shop dlmsupplyco.com and enter the promo code AWESOME at checkout to save 15% off your first purchase. That's dlmsupplyco.com.